Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Zoom into Wine. It's time for the show and your host, Ian Blackburn. Welcome, everyone. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we could. Yep.
Yes.
I'm doing this from home tonight. Thank you for your patience. Let's get started with our cult wine event tonight. I'm going to get started by going in and showing you the event itself. Basically, we've got 6 fantastic Napa Valley wines that have all scored very, very well. Although the Castile estate has yet to be rated for 2018, and I'm not sure what the delay is because Parker's reviews have been coming out, but it's gotten 95, 96 points in the 2 prior vintages, and everybody that I'm tasting this with believes it's the best rendition of itself. There may be something special coming out a little bit later, but we'll wait and see what you guys think. One of the wines we're going to taste tonight is from Realm. We've got the infamous Insignia, which I'll talk about at length. Continuum, just a ridiculous bottle of wine. So fantastic. Kiplinger's Oakville Ranch, by the way, she makes a couple of them. And then Castile, which is Celia Welsh, Scarecrow fame. This is her new How Mountain project. And then O'Shaughnessy, which has got a great running history and about half the price of most of the other wines. So we're kind of throwing it to the wolves a little bit, but want to see how it ranks, because I want you to taste all 6 of these wines and pick your favorites, and then I'm going to reveal the answers, okay? And that's how we do a lot of our tastings, blind, letting you kind of pick which ones you enjoy first, and without me telling you, okay, this one's the 100-pointer, you're supposed to like this one the most. It's not necessarily how it always works. We do these tastings live, cult wine tastings with wines like Screaming Eagle, and rarely does Screaming Eagle win the tasting. It is sometimes found out because the style is a little bit different. But with these cult wines and this particular set, we're looking at all very price within a certain bandwidth. The vintages are all pretty current, whether they're 17s or 18s. There is a little bit of a difference in the vintage. 17 had a pretty big heat event, and 18, I once described it as boring, and everyone booed me for saying that. But I think when you develop a thick skin like we've developed as winemakers after vintages like 15, 16, 17, that made us really have to work hard and caused us great consternation why we're making wine. Then 18 comes along and it's like barely an event throughout the vintage. It was just so quote unquote easy and so pretty and so pretty large too. 18 is a pretty prolific vintage. So I do think the wines of 18 have that working for them. There's a purity to the vintage. I think the wines of 17 have some really interesting markers. They just have a little bit more stuffing, a little more concentration, a little bit more richness, maybe a little bit more racy. And but sometimes it's very hard to tell between 17 and 18, especially at this level where they're eliminating any problems and really focusing on only the best berries. That's maybe a criticism of where wine's going. Sometimes the wines are getting so good that they almost, there's a sameness to them. And that has become a little bit of a criticism, especially when you have 5 or 6 winemakers making all the great wines in Napa Valley. And you can line them up, from Philippe Melka to Celia Welsh to all the top names. We can decide who those are later, but we're all using the similar technology. Most of them all gone to the great schools. And so that's why the wines are being elevated, and they're all rising in points. It's not just because, hey, we just, all of a sudden started getting some good vintages or global warming or anything like that. It's all the factors that have lined up to make these wines just really, really extreme. And quite honestly, there's some price point pressure kind of squeezing these wines in a little bit. And I do think that with the upcoming shortages that we're going to be seeing, we're going to see some rapid price increase that really take these wines to another price level. We've seen in the last 12 months, Screaming Eagle go from $3,000 a bottle to $4,500. We've seen Harlan's take off from $1,000, $1,200 to $1,500, $1,800 plus. And everyone else kind of follows that lead. There's always a few extreme, fast horses that get out in front of the market and pull everything else with it. But I will say that supply is not just going to run out. It's absolutely going to be an issue, especially about a year from now, when everyone's probably supposed to be releasing their 2020s and no one made any. So I really think that's going to impact things. People are trying to spread it out, and there are some plans that people have put in place, but it's inevitably going to hit us eventually here. Hopefully the economy stays strong, because it's still very strong, and that will be a factor too. If the economy breaks off and goes the wrong direction, those $500 bottles of wine will not have as many homes waiting for them. All right, obviously we're going to now getting into our PowerPoint. Hopefully you've had a chance to pour the wines. I'm going to go through the PowerPoint now, tell you some details while you're tasting, making some notes. For those of you that are just watching or watching this video later, and we have a young lady on the East Coast that got her set of wines, and she thought we started at 7 o'clock on the East Coast. She's a student. She has to be up really early. So she's going to taste these wines tomorrow. I'm recording this, hoping that she'll join us again in the future. But let's go through the PowerPoint. Now, the PowerPoint is not in the order that the wines are being presented. But I just want to get through each of the wines before I start tasting them. I want you to taste them all at your own pace. Make some notes which ones you like the best. Okay, so here we go with Cult Wines 2022. Beautiful 80-degree winter day here in Los Angeles. One of the wines we're tasting tonight is the 100-point Realm Moonracer. This is a Stag's Leap District vineyard. This is 90% Merlot, 7 Merlot. 90% Cabernet, 7 Merlot, 3 Petit Verdot. And Stag's Leap, as you can see on the map, is where that district is. Realm took a huge jump in the last couple of years. They got started in about 2007, and the investment team there bought the Hartwell estate. And if you ever drive by there now, it's been under massive investment, both in the vineyards that are around the property and also in their wine caves and their wine making facility. They've got Benoit Troquet, who was the old winemaker from Hartwell, but he was kind of an up and coming commodity. Frenchman, born and raised in Bordeaux, and he has brought a level of style and a creation that I think would really kind of rank on the extreme. He pushes all the flavor elements. If it was like a soundboard, all the levels are raised in a Benoit Troquet wine. They have just a voluptuousness to them. And Realm is not just an immediate estate in their property, which is in a really nice neighborhood, but they have contracts and also vineyard sources throughout the Napa Valley. So they can have some different wines that they release throughout the year. And it's a really good list to get on. This is Benoit right here. Their wine club get the first choice. Of course, when wineries can sell the wine straight to you, they get to keep all the dollars, and they love that. You may want to try to get on the Realm list if you like Realm wines, but you don't want to miss a shipment or you fall off the list. And so they're going to reward their best customers. I'm lucky to be able to get a little bit of Realm. I've had a pretty good relationship with them for quite a while, and pretty tight with their distribution team. But they're a small producer. The labels all have really cool artwork, and the guy's got a lot of taste and class and style. The ownership comes from former Harland employees, more on the banking team, that love wine. These are not just bankers. These are wine people that understand the concept of finance, and they've got great investors behind them. And it's a pretty fascinating story in the development. And I don't even believe that Realm has achieved 10 to 15% of their popularity. I think that this is still a big time discovery to a lot of people. And they have really just started making their best wines right now. And they're just barely cracking the egg, because their wine making facility isn't even complete yet. Wait until they can do everything in-house, just with absolutely total control, and really take it up 10 notches. I really think this is going to be an exciting brand. Suckling really stepped out on this, calling it full-bodied structured red with black currants, violets, dark chocolate, burnt orange aromas, walnut husk. I'm going to have to trust them on that one. But such precise and elegance, firm, smooth tannins, long finish, really complex at the end. Stunning wine from Stag's Leap District. 100 points. That's a huge statement. I have, I think, 3 bottles of that Realm available on the website right now. So if any of you like them, they are unprotected and available. And everybody on this Zoom tonight got a discount code. You can pick up 10% off on 1 bottle, and if you want to jump on any of those. One of the wines we're tasting tonight, 2018 Insignia. This is an incredible story. This is actually California's first meritage wine. And it's been there for, Joseph Phelps started I think it was like 1971. And I believe this wine came into creation in 73. I'll have to check that first vintage. I'm guessing 71, but they've had some incredible winemaking help through the years. And they predate Opus 1 by like 4 or 5 years, vintages. This is really an incredible brand. Joseph Phelps, of course, was actually a magnate in construction. He is the Phelps behind Hansel Phelps Construction. He built buildings like the Pentagon, Mall of America, and about 1,000 other massive projects. Really a successful man, and he even writes books about success, and wrote books about success. Of course, Mr. Phelps passed away years ago. He's one of the great foundational fathers of the Napa Valley. He and Robert Mondavi and others really were the kind of the backbone personalities of the Napa Valley through that very important time, 1970s, 1980s, when the Napa Valley really became an important international brand. Now, what's amazing about Phelps is that they keep investing, and they keep, that there are people that course correct. I think they have often course overcorrected, and they go to extremes. When I sold Joseph Phelps in the 1970s, I think we had 7 dessert wines. They don't make any of them now. They used to have an incredible Rhone program, barely any Rhone. In fact, I think they're bringing it back in 2020 vintage because they couldn't pick Cabernet. So they're making some Rhones from all over the state of California as a little bit of a kickoff celebration anniversary of their Rhone program. They were the first brand to put Insignia, a meritage wine, in the bottle. They were also the first brand to package Syrah. No one else had ever put Syrah on the label, believe it or not. Syrah was a blending grape and used for things like BV red Burgundy. And so he gave a lot of prevalence to grape varieties. Viognier, huge Rhone Ranger, lots of firsts. And so people that think like that can often be the ones that create categories, crush categories, and then depart them. And they were one of the first people to invest in Sonoma Coast real estate, and went really extreme and bought this vineyard so close to the ocean that it took like 12 vintages just to get fruit. They thought they had made a big mistake, and they almost pulled the plug on the project. Today, it's one of the great vineyards on the Sonoma Coast. In fact, their Pinot Noirs and Chardonnays are getting massive scores, and Joseph Phelps just continues to be a super important brand. Let's say this too. I would give full credit to the Phelps family for being the reason what guys like myself went into the wine industry. I was literally standing on the porch at Joseph Phelps in 1991 with some friends of mine, looking out over the Napa Valley, appreciating this splendor and grandeur and beauty, tasting amazing wine. And I'm like, wait a second, I could work in this business. And it was there on that porch at Joseph Phelps that really made me start to take wine in a totally different direction. Beautiful vineyard holdings, beautiful. There's the team that works there, their dedication. I've had relationships with the president of Joseph Phelps. His name was Tom Shelton. He used to fly down to do my dinners and events. He passed away of brain cancer, and really broke my heart, because what an incredible man he was, such a hero. Insignia continues to make great wine. I think in the 97 vintage really took this huge momentum shift in California wine, and it hit 97, which was just such a great vintage, and everyone paid attention. And then 1997 Insignia still to today is just such a wonderful bottle of wine. But wow, when that wine was released, it was just nectar to be able to taste that. I don't think I've ever tasted a wine that surprised me so much. And they've had a couple different great winemakers work for them since that 97 vintage, and I'm sure there were some other Insignias prior, but the current team, led by a female winemaker, she's been doing some amazing stuff, and then she has this really lovable style. I will say, on opening with when I tasted this Insignia, it was pretty firm, and it really had a lot of kind of growing up to do. I will say that of all the wines, it had the most attitude, like, hey, I'm not ready yet, don't touch. That surprised me a little bit from the 18 Insignia, but let's see what it tastes like in the glass now, and see what you guys think. Maybe that even kind of matured out, because all of our flights were poured on Monday afternoon, right before UPS came, picked everything up. They went out, got delivered on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. But this is how we do it, and it works out really well with these great little decanters, filling them up so much. 99 points from James Suckling on the Insignia. Blackberry, black chocolate with mint. Conifer. I don't know what conifer is, but I'm sure it's an herb because he paired it with clove. Sweet tobacco, violets, and flowers too. Some graphite. Cool and complex. Yeah, I think so. Full-bodied, ultra-fine, dusty tannins, and wonderfully, extremely long finish, savory and refined. Now, a guy like Suckling might get a taste of this right out of barrel before fining and filtration, which can kind of adjust the wine for a little while and make it go into a little bit of a bottle shock. And that's maybe where the wine's at this moment in its evolution. Could have just been that day. One of the wines that we're tasting tonight is from Helen Keplinger. And if any of you join me on the Keplinger Zoom, she's just a really important winemaker in Napa Valley, not only to me, but to a lot of people that she assists. This is her own brand. And frankly, she's using one of the greatest vineyards in the Napa Valley. I think anytime you see a wine that says Oakville Ranch, you should take it very seriously. This is one of the most meticulous growers and special spots. And it's a reason, if not, one of the top 5 reasons that Oakville is really considered like the Pouillac of the Napa Valley. Oakville Ranch is just a splendor of amazing fruit, and I think with her style, which really is personified in her wine, she's a very refined, lovely woman, and I've known her for a very long time. And she went to work for Heidi Barrett, so she has a lot of Heidi Barrett influence in her winemaking. And she really knows how to coax the wines into being just so damn irresistible, and really lets the vineyard shine through. I think some winemakers' style can get so heavy that you kind of forget where the fruit can come from, but hers really makes Oakville taste. I even love the Oakville wines. They're really, really great. Oakville Ranch makes their own wine, and they're awesome. Unsung heroes. But she takes this up a notch. She gets just this more sappy roundness and richness and concentration that I just adore in the wine. I have taken a pretty big position on this wine and have quite a bit available. I believe that 10 years from now, this will be a wine that's going to be worth quite a bit more. I think her best days are still ahead of her. She is making wines now for the family that owns Chateau Aubryon, and their up and coming brand in California. And I really think that Helen Keplinger's name brand is still being developed, even though she was on the cover of the Wine Spectator. I think she just kind of stays in the background, maybe a little too much, and needs to come out and impress people with herself, because she's just absolutely stunning and stylish and cool. And just even I hope you saw that label, and I know a couple of you got the bottle kits, and you're looking at the bottle and you're like, wow, that's really cool. 97 points from Jeb Dunnick. And I really think that he says some wonderful things. He usually kind of really I like Dunnick's reviews quite a bit. And I'll start after the blend saying, offering a full-bodied richness and an elegant layered mouthfeel. It has a wonderful bouquet of blue fruits, graphite, crushed rocks, and integrated oak. It has more elegance, a more elegant style of this 2017, okay? But it certainly doesn't come up short in concentration, richness, or length. The vintage doesn't get much better. Primary beast of a wine, the 2017 Cabernet Oakville Ranch, comes from a great vineyard, 91 cab. It kind of repeats itself here. I think that's the air of a designer. She pasted it in there twice, but we double up the pleasure on the review there. All right. So we go into Continuum is one of the wines that we're tasting tonight at $269. I think I have 4 of these remaining. And I'm surprised that they're still around. Now, these guys do make a good amount of wine, but this is Tim Mondavi. He's just a really tremendous man. Robert had 2 very strong personalities, Michael Mondavi and Tim Mondavi. Tim moved to the mountains. Michael started a wine import-export company and 20,000 other projects. Tim kind of stays very quiet. His kids are now big-time wine people, making wines like Rain. His daughter is a phenomenal artist. She did the Continuum label, and she has such a cool eye. So a lot of talent trickled down through the Tim Mondavi name and the whole Mondavi family. But this Tim Mondavi, and I've had the pleasure of meeting him a couple of times. Super nice guy. Lives up and up above Oakville, up near what's the lake up there called? Hennessy. And the property just looks over the entire Napa Valley. And yeah, this is super cool stuff. And I think that this really, on opening, was the wine that I said, I think this might win the whole thing for people. I think people take this wine for a little bit for granted, and it should be potentially upgraded. And I think we'll have to watch what happens to pricing on this wine. They tend to be pretty aggressive in price increases and stuff like that. Instead of letting the market take the wine up, they kind of lead the market with price increases. Maybe that's part of the problem. But this is such a great wine. And there it is. The Pritchard Hill is where the estate lies. And some of the fruit, I don't believe is high enough in elevation. Can't remember the entire story, but they have undulating hills that carry into different appellation. And I think they've just got some really, really great efforts here. Continuum is an estate grown on Sage Mountain Vineyard, located high on the Pritchard Hill along the eastern ridge of the Oakville, overlooking Napa Valley and San Francisco Bay. 38 acres of mature estate, planted in 1991 and 1996, and they continue planting. So really, really, really cool. 20 months in French oak. And there's the team, daughter, son. I've taken groups to Napa Valley very often, and we did a really fun tasting at the estate. And there's Chiara Mondavi. She's the one who painted the label. "98 points, suckling, wonderful blackberry and blackcurrant aromas here with hints of mint and fresh sage, some cassis, wrought iron too." That's a very definitive smell and character that you get off Pritchard Hill. Wrought iron, full-bodied, tight and elegant, with lovely tension. Again, one of the wines tonight is the new one from Castile Estate. This is the Celia Welch project. These guys are dead serious. They've hired all the experts to come in and help them. At $175 a bottle, they're trying to come in like a middleweight in price and fight at above their class. I really think they'll get there. The vines are now almost 10 years old. So not even they haven't quite yet achieved their full maturity in the vineyard, but they're able to make a little bit of wine from these younger vines. They will continue to plant and expand, but they're going to keep it really small and make a really severe selection. And probably 10 years from now, they'll be 3 times as large because the property is quite significant. And it's a pretty cool story. This family did very well for themselves, and they really came in hoping to find a place that they could plant their lives and their future. And they found a property, but it had been it was already sold. And they just kept comparing everything back to that property, and they go, no, that's not as good as that property. They kept looking, and I think it was like a year and a half later, and this property that they thought that was being sold fell out of escrow, and they didn't even know, and it just sat there for sale. And they came back around and they say, what? And they were able to buy the property that they originally looked at, fell in love with. Howe Mountain is a really important vineyard in Appalachian. It has some really interesting volcanic characteristics. This topsoil is all decomposing volcanic ash, basically. And it really adds a characteristic to the grape growing, to the wines. Raised by professional opera singers. You know that they're interesting people when their bio starts off with that. Jim Barber, viticulturist, and there's Celia Welsh, winemaker. Such a wonderful lady, and really has been a benchmark winemaker, starting at Staglin family, and then getting the Scarecrow job, being recommended for the job by Francis Ford Coppola himself. Hailing entirely from the rocky, elevated slopes of Howe Mountain, the 2018 Castile Cabernet Sauvignon shows aromas of dark blueberries, briars, espresso, earth, and just a very slight base of a sweet vanilla. On the palate, the immense structure of this wine is immediately apparent. Bright fruits combined with a core that shows density and strength. The tannins are beautiful but rounded, adding a sense of juiciness to the finish. The wine is clearly made to last. 3 separate clones of Cabernet were harvested between October 1st and 6th in 2017. I guess this is the 17 note, sorry. We'll have to look deeper into the 18. Okay, so the 2018 O'Shaughnessy, which we have featured on a couple of our Zooms in the past year. They have magnificent estates, vineyards, everything you could ask for. Sean, the winemaker, has been there since its inception in its first vintage. And they're just a winemaking machine of amazing quality and great value. $100 is, I think, a really nice buy. Their wines, though, always demand 5 years. So I think there's something in the way of their winemaking style, also his freedom to experiment, but his wines really reward 5 years in the cellar. He also has some ancient Bordeaux varieties. Saint Macaire is not something you see blended into many wines, but that's an ancient Bordeaux variety, and I think he's got 3 others that he plays with. I mean, this vineyard looks like a champion golf course. Now this is, I believe this is their Veeder property. Tasting room, wine cellar, wine caves. Here's Sean Capio. And to keep a guy like Sean Capio content, I mean, he makes a little bit of wine for himself, but he doesn't have any other customers. And he's been there for the entire time. A very, very nice man. Great job. This is 93 points. Aromas of dried blueberries, currants, chocolate, sandalwood, and black tea. Full body and firmed, tight grain tannins, rich in flavor, with a saline edge on the finish. Okay, so those are the detailed notes of each of the wines. I'd love for you guys to use the chat button at the bottom to kind of, as we go through one wine at a time, maybe put anything down that you guys taste and smell, so we can all kind of reward those that have some fun stuff. Wine. The first question I want to ask, though, everybody, is if you could put into the chat what your favorite is, because I don't want to reveal anything until you've given me a favorite. And maybe it's your, we'll just say your favorite number one right now. That's it. Don't tell me that you like two of them, please. But Stephanie, you got two people there, so you're gonna have to delineate who likes what. Sabrina and Grace, how are things going there? The wine's tasting good? All right.
Sorry, I unmuted. I was typing it in. We're not blind, so we know what ours are, so we're not going to put a thing.
Oh, that's right, Stephanie. I'm sorry.
We got a bunch of them at the same time. Yeah.
I sent you guys the bottles, so I didn't blind them for you because I sent them a while back.
Yeah, it's all good. They're very good, all of them. I'm just not going to put it on there.
Okay. Well, you can tell me by name which one you like. That'd be interesting. Stephanie and Grace, do you have favorites yet? Oleg? It's hard to pick a favorite.
Yes. Mine's, I think, 3.
Number 3?
3, 1, and 2.
Okay. I see you there.
I like them all, but the
all right. Stephanie said Realm and Continuum. Hector, I'm waiting for yours. And you've got 3 tasters there, right, Hector? Thanks, Stephanie.
Mine. I'm bringing up the other.
So for those of you watching the video, we're getting the final results here of people's review of the wines. Hector, like in order, 1, 2, 3. And then one of your guests, like 5, 3, 1. I see a pattern here, a pattern of complete and utter confusion. Now, there's no right answer, but every answer is different. That's what I love about wine. These are all so great, and everyone's going to have one that's kind of better than the others for them. All right, let's go wine by wine. Oh, now it does. Okay. So here is bottle number 1, Keplinger. I love the description that we read. It said, I think Jim Dunnick said that it was more of an elegant expression of 17. And that's, I think Keplinger is always going to bring an elegance to it. Love the package. That flower, if you don't have the bottle, is like, search for Keplinger on the website, which is a good way to find wines on the website. Just go up and hit this little Q for search, and or magnifying glass, I've been told it is. And you can see a couple of wines that I have from her, and the wine that's owned by the family that owns Aubryon is called Carte Blanche, and they make a Beckstoffer Missouri hopper that I think is radically underpriced, and I think this is their approach to get noticed. Really top scoring wine, significant vineyard, and it's the only Beckstoffer Missouri hopper I know that's $150. But here's the Oakville Ranch that she's making. And that is a 2017. And I have a good supply of this wine, probably 30 bottles available. Wine number 2. And any comments about number 1?
Excellent wine.
Beautiful, isn't it? It's very polished, very pretty.
Very nice wine. Very smooth.
Okay. Wine number 2 is O'Shaughnessy. Showing pretty well, right?
Yeah. Excellent. I'm surprised.
So here's the correct note for the O'Shaughnessy, because before we weren't looking at the right one. It's got 97 points. It is $75 a bottle. Suckling gave it 93, but Wine Enthusiast gave it 97. And I believe it finished in the top 100 wines on the Enthusiast list. So great deal. I only have about a case and a half of this wine remaining. But this is definitely a mountain wine, and you can tell there's a little bit more masculine character, a little chewiness, more grit, more concentration in the tannin part. Well, I think in the observation of the tannins, because I think number 1 has just as much tannin. It just, they're not as featured as that fruit is so supple and so concentrated. It's just a little different technique. Okay. Wine number 3. Continuum. 98 points, $270. Extraordinary in its performance, and boy, just jumping right out of the bottle as soon as I opened it. I thought it would blow everybody's mind away. I'm talking so much I didn't get a chance to taste
It did mine.
I think there's just something extra about this wine. It's got this lavish depth and concentration and that purity and that power. It's like got another gear. Okay, wine number 4 tonight. It's from Realm. And we have a number of different wines from Realm on the website. This is the Moon Racer. And it's the 2018, which I only have a few bottles left of the 18. But these guys were duking it out with who could give the biggest score. And I also believe that this wine on opening it was like 2 wines on top of each other. It was like the fun, fruit intensive wine when we first opened it. And there was a kind of a layer underneath it that wasn't relinquishing itself or exposing itself. Let's see if we can see that now and how it's softened up. That is a beast. But I don't think anybody picked number 4 as number 1 today. Did you notice that?
Yes. I picked it as number 4.
There you go. Rome went very well with the Prime New York. Good call, Stephanie. So I'd say the winner of our competition today was number 5, which is the next wine I'm going to expose.
Castile.
Castile. And I knew people would like this wine. And I quite honestly have selfishly bagged a good amount of this wine for myself, but if we sell out of it tonight, give me a little time. I'll probably put some more up. But I'm selling all my Scarecrow at over $1,000 a bottle on the website right now. This one's $175, and I think it's just absolutely a workhorse, and will be a wine that'll make a lot of people happy for a very long time. And I have enjoyed the first two vintages of this wine very, very much, both the 16 and the 17. Oleg, I think I recommended this one to you a couple of times.
I did. I have it.
Ah, good. I did a good job.
Yeah. But I'm still keeping it. It's still early, I think.
No, I think you can agree. It's definitely wine that can use a little bit more bottle time, but I think it's that youth that people really like, that harder
Has beautiful nose.
edge. Yeah. It's got all of Cecilia's markings, the way it's fleshy and dense.
Agree.
And can you smell that little rise of that I think that's called Tartuffe or something like that. It's the topsoil, the ashy topsoil of Howe Mountain. It's got this really nice little almost metallic hot metal type of thing in the nose. The Continuum, I think the description on Continuum was wrought iron, and that'll be our next one. No, which one? Continuum was number 3, right? 3. So the next wine to expose is the Insignia, number 6. No mention. Oh, there was a mention of 6 in the top 3 in Hector's group, but I'll call number 5 as being the winner tonight. Number 1 got enough mentions to probably capture second place. Number 3 might be tied with it. Yes, I'll call it 5, 1, and 3 in the top in voting.
He's killer.
And that's so 5 is the Castile, 3 was the Continuum, and number 1 was Keplinger. Once again, the most expensive wines didn't necessarily win, but if I told you that it was the most expensive wine, does it kind of change the way you taste it? That's why I like to taste them blind, let you guys try them first, and kind of get your own senses involved without that. Any questions or comments tonight? I'm really hoping that each of you have deeply considered to join me next week. Ours of the Rhone Valley. It is really takes my whole team each month to create the event. I hear people typing. Stephanie, thank you. I know you'll be there. I sent you those bottles. And Sabrina and Grace, you like number 4 the best? That was the Realm.
Least.
Oh, the least. Look at that. Least. Wowzer. That's good news.
Not delicate.
Not delicate.
Not as layered. Not as layered.
Not as layered. And maybe it's just 10 years too soon to try it, but
yeah, that might be it.
Yeah. But next week with the Rhone, if you we're doing it a little differently on a few of our events in the near future, because obviously the world's changing, things are opening up. I'm really trying to eat better and better and better and better wines and put them into these stars events, going to producers that you never would see at a public tasting or a chance to even get to meet these people because they sell all their wine with no problem. Real classics, producers like Chav. To me, it's like, what a great excuse for me to be able to talk to these people. I'm waking up at 6 and 7 in the morning to talk to them live in France and be able to interview them and pull the information together for the presentation. We'll have some videos with each of the producers, and we'll have some really cool people joining us on the video. One of the great wine personalities in America is going to be talking to us about Chav. I'll tell you who he is when you join me that night. Also, my friend Michael Larner, who owns Larner Vineyard in Santa Barbara, who is a soil scientist, and he worked at Guigal at Châteauneuf-du-Pape, and he speaks perfect French, so he'll be our co-host that night. He loves Rhone wine, so he'll have the wines in the glass with us as we taste Hermitage, Crozes Hermitage, Vaccarat. We're going to be with Shen Blue again, which is really an amazing project. And she won't tell you who she is, but she ran the Rockefeller, basically kind of their trust. And in the process of doing that, she met her husband who ran the Bank of London. They're just amazing people. And they retired and bought this vineyard in Van Kloos, but it's right on the border of about 3 different appellations, and it's the highest vineyard of all of the appellations there. So it's a really special project, and it's all done biodynamic, and they're making just transcendent wines. And we're going to kick off our event with them. We'll hang out with along Guillard and just really amazing people throughout the entire tasting. So that's Stars of the Rhone Valley next Wednesday. And then our rest of our Stars lineup kind of falls in place after that. We're going to do a port tasting by the end of the month. If you like port wines, I found some really cool, fun, new ports for us to try. And that'll be excellent. And then we get into March with a bunch of really cool programs and some vintner guests. So we're going to keep the Zooms going every Wednesday. We've got Stars events now planned through the rest of the year, but we will start to do some live events. And we're also taking some trips. We've got a trip to Provence planned for the first week. I'm really trying to pull it together, first week of April. So that's going to come fast and hard. I'll be posting that trip by Saturday, but there's a sign-up list right now on the website. If you want interest, you're going to get that information first. I'm only taking 8 to 10 on these trips. We're going to go to in May. We've got Stars of Baja wines coming up. And then we're going to Portugal in November and Argentina in July. So lots of travel. And then I've got dinners coming up at Cali Restaurant. A Michelin star Cali Restaurant will host us for top wines of the world tasting. And these are all like the best of brands from around the world, and not just a night of Cabernet, but we'll be opening 1 bottle per guest. We'll have up to 20 guests for the dinner. So we might drink as many as 20 amazing wines at the dinner. We are also, and that dinner will be posted by the end of this week. That'll come up at the end of March. We'll do that dinner. We're going to have a night of Bordeaux with Duclos live at the Duclos Loft in downtown LA in the Arts District. They bought a loft years ago, and very few people get to go there, but we're going to have 40 spots available to come taste. And it's going to be a night of what we call the super seconds. So a lot of Bordeaux houses make second wines. And so we're going to have a celebration of second wines. We're going to have a French chef, a new French chef that's building his restaurant here in Los Angeles. He's going to come do the food for us. And it's going to be a really cool gathering. And that'll be up probably by the end of next week. And the event will happen at the end of March. So now that things are opening up, I just have all the work being queued for us to be able to launch our live events. And those are coming very fast. Stephanie's excited about Portugal. I would be excited to go with you to Portugal. And we're putting that trip together. And there'll be a couple different options. You can join us for 5 days, 7 days, and do some different stuff with us. It's such a great place. It is a little harder to get there than, say, Paris, because you need to stop over somewhere probably, unless you know the secret route to getting to Spain or to Portugal. There might be a direct air flight. I'm not sure, but not when I looked last. So once you get there, though, you never want to leave. And in fact, they have an incredible opportunity for Americans. If you buy a house there, you can have EU citizenship. And a lot of people I know have taken them up on that, like 6 or 7. And I've heard a lot of conversations about people thinking about it too. Well, that's our cult wine tasting tonight. And I want to thank you all for joining us. Thanks very much. For those of you that joined us on the Zoom, you have a code and you can pick up any of those wines we tasted tonight with a little discount. Those of you that are watching this video either tonight or in the future, please do join us for Zoom into Wine every Wednesday. And I look forward to seeing you all soon. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Ian. I want to get some wine.
All right. Oleg, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Okay. I'll call you.
Thank you.
You bet, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.